morning and welcome to Mountain Patriot Homestead. As you can see, I've got another lap full of what I call blessings. This morning I went out and picked some more peas that were ready, and despite this drought that we're in, we are still receiving so much blessings from our garden. In addition to these peas that I'm shelling this morning, there are just tons of tomatoes still coming in, and I noticed out there this morning that I've got quite a few peppers to pick. These are all hot peppers that I've got coming in right now that are, I noticed that my lemon jalapenos are coming in, and my, my purple Tabasco are coming in. So I've got still a lot of stuff to go out there and pick. I've also got a lot of herbs that I've got to get put up, and by put up I mean I dehydrate mine, and it looks like I've still got a lot of sage and basil. I've got cilantro out there. I've got, what else do I have? I've got several out there. I can't remember right now off the top of my head what all I still have to get in, but I know I have 3 different types of basils that are just still going great guns despite the heat that we've had this summer and the lack of what I would call normal rainfall. We have had rain this summer, but it has come in just spurts. We'll have, I don't know, we'll have a couple inches of rain and then it won't rain for a month. And so with sporadic rainfall like that, it's really tough on plants, but especially tomatoes. I've lost probably twice as many tomatoes as I've actually gathered, just because tomatoes don't like sporadic rainfall. Now, I could have supplemented by watering the garden, but it's not because it's lack of moisture in the ground out there. It's really not, because I do such intense planting. I plant everything probably way more crowded than, well, I know way crowded than any book or horticulturist or anything of that nature will ever tell you to do. I mean, I plant things right on top of each other. But that being said, when it does come droughts like we're having, and even the intense heat, they seem to protect each other, because it's just like a forest that, forest with all the different layers within a forest, it actually protects itself from a lot of the weather extremes. And I think that's a lot of what I contribute to the garden is, and I found this out purely by accident whenever I lived in West Texas. I had grew up in East Texas, where primarily I learned my gardening from, because when we lived in North Carolina, I was pretty small. I remember our gardens, but I was still pretty young. But the majority of what I would call my adult knowledge of gardening came from East Texas, where you may have, like right now, they're in severe heat and drought and wildfires and all of that, like a lot of the country is right now. But we had more rain and, a more temperate climate, I guess. But when I moved to West Texas, I was totally unprepared for gardening in a desert climate. But I love to garden, and I went on ahead and did. And I, just purely by accident, planted things far too close together by what any book or reference material that I had ever read or been told or anything else. I just planted everything really close together, and it shaded each other. And normally shading is not a good thing. They tell you it's not a good thing for plants to be shaded and not be getting sun. However, I guess they were getting enough sun that the shading was actually helping by keeping more moisture in the ground. In addition, I was also mulching, so between the two, everything really flourished. So I had really good gardens in West Texas by following that method. Now, I will tell you, just like right now, I went out there and picked these peas this morning. Because of the temperatures, our temperatures right now are just like they do in the springtime. Our temperatures in the fall, we're in meteorological fall right now, the temperatures fluctuate a lot here. We've already had temperatures down in the low 50s at night here, but this morning I get up and the temperature is 71. So the temperatures are all over the place right now. With that being said, that causes a lot of bug issues, and I don't like to spray my garden. I don't spray my garden, which again leads to bug issues. If you're somebody who just cannot stand bugs in the garden, well, you do whatever you need to do. I just prefer not to. But I noticed out there this morning the aphids in one part of the garden are really going hog wild. I mean, there's aphids all over a few of the plants out there. And, you know, I call them sacrificial plants. I let the sacrificial plants take it, and, you know, hopefully they'll stay on that. I also noticed quite a few stink bugs out there this morning. But something I also noticed, which I encourage because I put places for them to spend their time out there, and there was a lot of little birds out there, little sparrows and things that would come within just a few feet of me as I was out there picking peas this morning, because they're out there and they're getting the bugs that are on the plants. So, you know, it's a diverse habitat out there for not only my garden plants, but also the creatures that live in it. I've got a little hen that has been living out there in it all summer. She built her a nest in between the corn rows and sat there through what I call fire and flood, because, you know, we had some really hot days this summer, and bless her heart, she sat right there on her little clutch of eggs. And we had a couple of different rains that came while she was sitting that was just downpours, and she sat there through them, didn't move. And I think she went through several clutches of eggs, because I think there for a little while something was getting her eggs, but I think she finally got mean enough that whatever it was decided to go away. And anyway, she's finally hatched out one little chick. And she is the best mama for that one little chick. And she keeps it out there in the garden and one of the goat pens. And she is the best mama. If anything gets around her baby, she flogs it like she's a rooster. She don't put up with no shenanigans from nothing. So I don't worry about that baby. And but she lives out there in the garden, and she eats bugs out of the garden. She don't mess with my plants or anything like that. She just takes care of bugs and scratches around and shows the baby how to, you know, fend for itself. So, you know, I have everything that's in and out of the garden. The baby goat finally got too big to get herself through the garden fence, and so she doesn't even go in there anymore. But it won't be long when the garden starts dying back that I'll open the gate and let the goats in, because, as I've said in previous videos, I will, once frost comes and I'm not going to be getting anything else out there, I'll open it up and I'll let the goats go in, and they'll clean up the garden for me. And so I have very little cleanup to do once wintertime comes to get ready for the next year. So that's what's going on out there in the garden. So still lots of blessings coming from my garden. Thank the good Lord for providing them every day. Now these peas and beans that I get out of the garden, it's kind of funny. You know, every year I grow peas and beans because I love them. My husband, on the other hand, will not eat them in any shape, form, or fashion. He doesn't want to know that they're in anything. He doesn't want to know it's made with them. He just does not like peas or beans. However, every year I faithfully grow them because, first of all, I like them. And I eat quite a few of my own. But then I preserve them as well because I always look at it from the standpoint of, even if somebody doesn't like something, if they get hungry enough, they'll eat it. And I hope we never get so hungry that either one of us have to eat foods that we don't like. But if it comes to that, we've got food to eat. So that's just the way it is. So I do grow these every year. The only thing that didn't really do anything, well, done absolutely nothing this year, was any of our melons. We did not have a good melon year. And I know it was because we didn't get rainfall, persistent rainfall, or consistent rainfall, and I didn't water. I watered the garden maybe twice, but for the most part, I haven't watered this year, but I watered twice, and that's it. That's all I haven't had to, other than it probably would have helped the melons, but honestly, for the price of our water bill, and we've been told by a reliable source that the water bills are going to be doubling by next year here. So, you know, I may as well get used to, you know, I try to conserve water anyway, but if I don't have to water the garden, if I can have a planting practice that will prevent me from having to water the garden, I won't. So I have not had to water for any other purpose out there, so I figured we could do 1 year without melons. I'm not going to buy melons because I'm telling you, around here when watermelons are $15 a piece, I don't need a watermelon that bad. And that comes from a person who absolutely loves watermelons. I love watermelon. But I'm not going to pay $15 for a watermelon. I don't love them that much. But thankfully this year for our fruit, our pear trees and apple trees, I've already told you before, they are going great guns. My apple trees have so many apples on them that they are just, as one of my neighbors put it, they look like Christmas trees. They are loaded. And my Arkansas black apples are getting dark. It won't be long. Probably by the end of this month, going into October, the apples will be ready for harvesting. They're not quite ready yet, but it won't be long. The pears are getting close to the end of their harvest. I have picked and picked and picked, and we've eaten, and I'll walk by it and I'll pick a pear off and I'll eat the pear right then. But I've eat all the pears I can eat, and I've put up pears and everything else, and the neighbors come over the other day with their little granddaughters. They're so cute. And we were messing with cows, and one of the little ones asked if she could have a pear off the pear tree, because me and her were walking by the pear tree going to see goats, and she asked if she could have a pear. I told her, help yourself, honey, you can have all the pears you want. Well, she gets a pear, but she's such a sweetheart that she also gets her sister a pear. But then she shows her grandma, and her grandma was like, oh, those are pretty pears. And she asked, can I have another one? And I told her, baby, you go pick all the pears you want. And so she goes back over to the pear tree, and she comes back with, I don't know, 5 or 6 pears in her shirt. That was as many as she could carry because, you know, she's a tiny little thing. But she come back with a shirt full of pears, and she was showing me, and her grandma was saying something about, well, don't pick all the pears. And I told them, if y'all want any pears, you come pick all the pears you want. I've done put up about all we can deal with. I said, and you know, we eat pears. They're coming out of our ears, so y'all come. So anyway, they came, I think it was yesterday evening, they came by and picked some pears and Grandma and the babies were going back to the house, and they were going to make them some spiced pear bread. Guys, I know you hear all this noise going on in the background. Goats are crying. We separated all the goats yesterday. We pulled babies from mamas, and then we've separated little boys from little girls, and so everything's hollering. Thankfully, the cows are in the other pasture because we've done the same thing with their babies, and so everything's unhappy right now because it's weaning time, and so it's like a chorus going on around here all the time. Hopefully, they'll get over that pretty soon, and they will. A day or two, and they'll all be good. But for right now, they're just being pitiful. But they and they can make the weirdest noises. But anyway, that's what you're hearing. They're not in pain. They're not suffering. They're just they're hollering. Well, another thing is they can hear me, and they think I ought to be bringing them something. A treat, and they ain't getting no treats. But that's what all that noise going on in the background that you're hearing. It's not the annual stampede or something going on. It's just goats being goats. But anyway, that was what she was doing was with the pears, was making a spiced pear bread, and she shared with me a spiced cantaloupe bread recipe. Now, I didn't have any cantaloupe this year, so I can't try it this year, but hopefully we'll have melons next year, and I will try it with the cantaloupe next year because it sounds delicious. I love just about anything spiced. I regret, well, in a way, I'm kind of inundated this year with the pears and the apples, because when the apples start coming in, I'll be busy to them, because there's probably, I don't know, bushels and bushels of apples out there on those trees. And I don't have but 3 trees, but they are loaded. I don't think I've ever seen pear trees that loaded, or pears, sorry, apple trees that loaded with apples. But I regret that I don't have any grapes this year, because last year we had a bunch of grapes. We didn't have a bunch of apples or pears. But the grapes last year, I made a spiced grape jelly. And I'm telling you, I like jelly. I'm a jelly eater. I love jelly. I don't eat as much jelly as I used to, just, because, you try to watch what you eat. I usually watch it all the way to my mouth, but I love jellies of all types. And last year I made a spiced grape jelly that I'm telling you is, and this is saying a lot, but this is, I guess, my favorite jelly I have ever put in my mouth. It just has a taste, and I'm not a big grape jelly fan. There's a lot of other jellies that I like better than grape, but that spiced grape jelly recipe was absolutely fantastic. So I love the grape, and I'm hoping my grapes will have grapes next year so I can make some more. But if you'd like that grape jelly recipe, the spiced grape jelly recipe, let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to share that with you. But otherwise, everything here on the homestead is going well. Of course, my mister's staying busy. He had a skid steer job that we went out on day before yesterday. Yeah, day before yesterday? Yes, day before yesterday. I keep forgetting what day it is. And so he was out there most of the day. We went out and took care of that. And so he's busy doing that. And then today he's hauling logs. And tomorrow we both go back to our regular jobs. He also celebrates birthday this week. And so, always busy stuff going on here. As one of our folks on here said in the comments, there's always 10 projects. You're always, on a homestead, you're always 10 projects behind. And I have to agree, that is definitely so. I was just going to let you know, I am trying to improve my technology here with the channel, trying to learn new things, trying to learn new equipment. We went the other night to a technology store. I won't mention the name. Went to a technology store and asked the young man working there some questions about a GoPro camera. Well, bless his heart, he knew a little bit more than me, but not much, I don't think. I mean, he was trying, but I don't think he knew just a whole lot. And anyway, I was telling him what I was trying to do and how I was trying to improve my stuff for the channel and things. And like I said, he didn't really understand what I was trying to tell him. So, you know, I'd come back and watch some more YouTube videos, just trying to learn something. And then my husband, bless his heart, remembered that he had bought me a camcorder 13 years ago and forgot to tell me he'd bought it for me. Oh my. Well, anyway, he gives me this camcorder, and I swear to my time, I have watched, or I have read the manual for it. I bought an SD card for it, you know, far larger than the, I think, 8 that it came with. This one's a 64, the SD card. And of course, it's a micro SD card with an adapter. So, I mean, those didn't even exist when he bought this camcorder. So, anyway, I was trying to use it this morning, and it just keeps telling me right error and all different types of things that I'm going to have to go watch some more YouTube videos because I have no idea what it wants me to do. And I have to apologize to my oldest son. He was so kind to buy me a microphone with the thing that's called a dead cat, the fuzzy thing that fits on them, so when you're recording in an environment where the wind's blowing, it cuts out a lot of the wind noise and things like that. And he was so kind to buy that for me, and I swear I have messed with that thing and messed with that thing. And I have to say, I'm not smart enough to figure out how to turn it on. I mean, it's got buttons on it, and I have clicked the little buttons on it, and I have read, and I have watched videos, and I've clicked the little buttons. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So I'm just going to have to, he's going to have to make an excuse to come see his mama. And I'd always swore that I didn't want to be one of those parents that had to have their kids set their VCR every time they showed up. But apparently I can't figure out how to turn on a dang microphone. So I'm going to have to get somebody smarter than me to show me how to push a button. But my husband laughs at me because trying to use the tripod last night, I couldn't figure out how to get the other camcorder attached to the tripod, and I was about ready to throw it all out the door. He laughed, and just then he took it and just hooked it right up, and it's like, fine, thank you. But yeah, I can shell peas. That's the extent of my skill set. Does that make me a bad person? I hope not, but you know, I really don't want to be one of those annoying parents or grandparents that you know, I can't figure out how to set my alarm clock. Can you set it for me? But I swear to my time, I just cannot for the life of me figure out how to turn on that microphone, because I know it'll work great once I get the intelligence to learn how to use it, but it hasn't come to me so far. So maybe one of these days. But I wanted you to know that I am trying to improve the technology here. I just I'm having an issue with the wisdom problem, I guess. So, anyway, more YouTube videos to watch, I guess. Well, anyway, I am going to finish up these peas, get them done. It's going to take me a while because there's a lot of them here. I had a big old sack of them this morning. So I will get these finished, and then I have some more stuff to go out there and gather and put up from the garden. But I wanted to just say good morning to you. Hope everyone is doing wonderful, that you have a beautiful day, and that everyone finds themselves loved and happy. I will talk to you again real soon. Love y'all. Mountain Patriot Homestead, signing out.
Fly away with me, take you high, soaring, see you smile.